Drive to Survive Season 4, Episode 3, Tipping Point. Let's get to the review. Great story, great narrative. We're back again with Red Bull versus Mercedes, and the narrative this time around is Red Bull are absolutely flying in front. We start things off in Monaco, where Max Verstappen has never won the Grand Prix there, has never really dominated this race, and it was a chance for Red Bull to get back on. Lewis Hamilton is leading the championship. Max Verstappen needs to make this race count in order for them to be anywhere near challenging for the title. Mercedes are having an absolute nightmare in Monaco. Lewis Hamilton qualifying in 7th, Valtteri Bottas qualifying 2nd, but then had an issue in the pit stop with the wheel gun. And by the way, we finally get like Leclerc's pole lap, and then what happens after that in qualifying, which is a bit strange. I don't know why they didn't show it in the last episode and then they show it in this episode. But anyway, nonetheless, Mercedes are having an absolute mare. Red Bull, this is poised for them to win and to stamp their mark. You get scenes in the episode where Toto Wolff explains that the car is just simply not good. Something is wrong at Mercedes and they need to figure it out as soon as possible. The Max Verstappen's win, Red Bull lead the constructors by 1 point, and Max Verstappen is now in the lead for the title race. What's crazy is that this is the first time Max Verstappen has ever led the championship since he's joined Red Bull, and it's the first time that Red Bull have actually been in front in the constructors since 2013. So this was really, really big. This is a huge moment here. I like the title, Tipping Point. Then we skip a few races on, we've got Baku, we've got the French Grand Prix, we've got Styria, Austrian Grand Prix. There are so many races that take place there, and Max Verstappen, Red Bull, they are absolutely dominating the title this time round. All of a sudden, Red Bull are in their groove, they're in their stride, they are absolutely blitzing it. And then we get to the British Grand Prix. So I love the way that the Netflix kind of pans it. It starts off with Mercedes are struggling, Mercedes are bad, and then they show you the Monaco Grand Prix where Max Verstappen wins the Monaco Grand Prix. Mercedes have an absolute torrid time. Lewis Hamilton being stuck behind Pierre Gasly of all people. And then we get to the domination of Red Bull throughout the rest of the season. Then we arrive at Silverstone where it goes head to head. Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, they touch, and Max Verstappen of course has that massive crash, and it kind of blows this whole title race wide open. I like the title here, Tipping Point, because it has so many meanings. I've mentioned this many times before with Drive to Survive videos, but yes, the title race is now bang on because Lewis Hamilton, although Max touches Lewis Hamilton or Lewis Hamilton touches Max, whatever way you want to look at it, it was great racing, it was great battling. Max Verstappen absolutely flung into the wall. We all were just happy that he was he made it out safely. He was able to walk out of the car. It was a very big crash, nasty crash, and it was one of those situations where even before this moment they were kind of setting us up for, by the way, Max Verstappen being this proper elbows out driver. Lewis Hamilton, although clean, as soon as you push him to the wall he will attack. So it was quite I like the way they kind of lifted it towards this moment. It's as if they already knew. After this accident, Christian Horner is livid. He's very angry. He gets straight into the ears of Michael Massey, the FIA director for Formula One, and straight away we get to see what the dialogue between the two. And it makes you think, how can teams talk directly to the FIA? There is something completely wrong with that. I think looking back at it, you're just thinking to yourself, my goodness, we shouldn't be allowing this. But nonetheless, Lewis Hamilton gets a 10-second penalty, but he still wins the race on the last grasp. And it's a great scene because he wins it in his home country, obviously in England. And it's one of those wins that kind of sends shockwaves for more than one reason, because the title race is open, and also the actual battle between Hamilton and Verstappen is real. I love the way that Lewis Hamilton kind of goes back to his days as a kid, where he said that he was always picked last and he always knew that he was better than most of the people that were there, and whenever he had the opportunity to actually show his performance, that he will always do well. He mentioned the pitch, so I assume he's talking about football, but he said that he still has that same hunger even now in Formula One, even when he's 7-time world champion, to still have that determination and have that hunger. This is what separates these people, the elite athletes, from the rest of the world. And I also learned, Horner doesn't let anything down. The fact that Red Bull are absolutely smashing this title up until this point, and yet even with something like this, he is absolutely furious. Now don't get me wrong, they've lost 25 points because Hamilton wins the race. However, the fact that there's such determination, they're not gonna, just because we're in the lead doesn't mean I'm gonna let this lie down. He was absolutely determined, and the same goes for Toto Wolff and the Mercedes team. They've got 7 constructors titles, and yet they are still going again. They're still up for it. How they get the motivation, the strength. Susie Wolff mentions in the episode as well about Toto's mentality and his sort of his calmness under pressure. He doesn't let anything faze him. He kind of takes it in his stride, and then he focuses on the job at hand. This is what we call leadership at the highest level and at the highest sports level. So it's hilarious. At the start of the episode, we get jubilation for Red Bull and absolute domination, and Mercedes scratching their head. You got Lewis Hamilton looking at the Red Bull vehicles over the race weekend, saying this is what they're doing in their car, going back to the Mercedes team. And then at the end, Mercedes sort of end triumphant for the time being, of course, because it's just a win or race win in that season, not necessarily overtaking the title or anything like that. But nonetheless, it was something like, you know, it started off like jeopardy, then it ended in jubilation. And it's the same thing with the Red Bull episode early at the beginning, where it was sort of like Red Bull kind of looked like they were going to do well, and then they ended up not winning the race. So it's quite an interesting dialogue, quite an interesting story. As I mentioned before, listen, Formula One in 2021 was a movie in and of itself. Netflix just had to press record. They didn't even have to give us any narratives or try and set things up. But fair play to Netflix for what they've done. This was a very, very interesting episode, and it leaves you wanting more. I love the way at the end of each episode, it kind of just leaves you with a little bit of a nugget, a little bit of a cliffhanger, so that you have to watch and see what's coming next, and you just hope that we're going to get back to the Red Bull and Mercedes situation, and believe me, we will.